it's been such great weather, and my days have been so relaxing. I tend to forget. But anyway.
Oh, you have a perfect 60 degrees over there?
The weather's been fantastic. It's just like been lounge weather. It's so good. have a drink on the patio. It's great. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smudcast number 561. Game genres are dumb. Okay. Interesting take on even if they said genres were dumb, I'd have a problem with that. But video game genres, he might have an argument, or this YouTuber might have an argument about why that might be, because some of them are too generic, some of them are hard to define. Video games are always changing. There's always new ways of experiencing a setting with a different interface, or combining settings, combining genres. So he might have an argument. I don't know. I haven't seen the video. But this is from Nickolai Boulton, and this came out 5 years ago. It has about 11,000 views, and it's got about 600 upvotes and 40 downvotes. So it seems like people seem to like this kind of content. So I hope we enjoy it, because these are usually the grounds for diatribe. And
well, hey, it could have been like that last Smudcast where you guys watched the video title. What was it? Genres don't exist.
Oh yeah? Oh geez, was that a really painful one? I think it was probably really.
I don't remember.
Yeah. So
it sounds painful.
Yeah, but before the stream, I was talking about the biggest argument I've had over genres was the RPG, because everyone defines it a certain way. There's the minimalist definition. There's the JRPGs. There's the Western RPGs. There's D&D. There's all these styles of describing what an RPG is, and there's never one concrete definition. So definitions of terms I don't really care for, and provided this guy defines his terms like a genre, like a specific genre, I'll be like, yeah, that's fine. That's your definition of a genre. I don't care. It's fine. Go for it. So it's just categorization. It's just a random observer going, this is in space. It's a space story. And then someone looking at Star Trek and going, that's also in space. It's also a space story. And then they try to figure out in their own brain why they're different, why Star Trek and Star Wars, or I don't know, The Fifth Element are different. Like that's entirely up to their own minds, and that's fine. I don't care. So, but if he thinks the concept of genre is dumb, then I'm like, okay, that's a bit argumentative. So
we can only fear, right?
I don't know. Anyway, it's 14 minutes. Let's get going. How are you guys? You guys in the watch together? It's okay for you?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm good.
Here we go. Oh.
What is this intro?
Black dude slowing down his voice, talking about consoles.
Is it a black dude? It could be a white guy.
Could be a white. I don't know. It sounds like a rap dude slowing down his voice.
I don't know. That's just a weird open.
I'm a racist, okay? Everything I hear is rap is from a black guy. That's how it goes in my brain. Oh, no. All right. Game Design Archive. Wait a second. His name is... No, it's just Nickolai Boulton. That's...
Maybe he changed it. I don't know.
Yeah. He could have changed his...
I already got like a headache now.
Yeah.
It's such a weird intro.
Okay.
Not saying it's bad, it's just weird. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Games are dumb. For some, this is pretty well known. Action-adventure means absolutely nothing to consumers.
Really? Action-adventure.
You think so?
It means nothing to consumers?
When I look at the back of a box of a video game and it says action-adventure, I'm like, okay, could be a platformer, but sometimes they say platformer, action-adventure on the back of the box. So there's subgenres, there's genres on top of genres you could add, like multiple games have different formats. But if I'm playing XCOM, I'm not expecting an action adventure. Or
hey son, what would you like for Christmas? What kind of game would you like?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care.
The fun one, which is which?
Yeah, we're off to a great start, aren't we?
Yeah.
The protagonist is mad.
The game where the protagonist is evil. You're like, what? What is that called?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
How do I name that? Is there a word? Is there a category? Is there a name of the game? Tell me, what game do you want to buy and I'll buy it. How's that?
Yeah, to say that the genre classifications don't matter to the average consumer, it's like a lot more people pay attention to that than you think, but
That's what we pay attention to.
Yeah, can you imagine buying Metal Gear Solid Acid and going, what the fuck is this? This is not Metal Gear. It was a card battle bullshit thing.
That would be like if I went to a grocery store and I'm like, I don't know what I want to eat. Because it doesn't matter. Like, I'll just pick up some ice cream, some broccoli. Maybe I'll make something out of that.
Going to a bookstore, it's like, yeah, genre doesn't matter, guys. You just pick whatever book you like. It's like, how do you figure that out, dude? Just randomly just pick up 5 books from every shelf and just start reading?
I go to a movie, I don't care. I just walk into whatever's showing right now.
Oh.
all right,
Whatever your genre.
Let me just bring up a quick example. Okay, let me just pull up right here because I was playing a little bit. I'm trying to get back into it. Dune 2016. Let me just go to the Steam page right here.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's as an example, it's like it has FPS, gore, action, shooter, demon, sci-fi. Yeah, that pretty much fits the bill. That gives you a basic idea of what you're getting into with Doom.
Yeah, it's Doom. Genre is a categorization for content. And whether you're talking about a movie or a book or a video game, it depends on the content you're experiencing. So obviously video games will have interfaces like first person, so first person shooter or third person shooter or whatever. So you're describing the experience to the audience in a succinct way so they go, oh, that's what I'm doing in this game. It's about running around, shooting zombies with a high-powered rifle or, whatever. So that's what we use it for, to put our money where we want it to go, as opposed to just going, what is a text adventure? I don't know. Is that fun? Does stuff happen? Like, what does the fun stuff happen in a text adventure these days? I don't know. We gotta know.
Well, it could be silly to attach whatever genre into, like, say Uncharted, for example, to call it a platformer. It's like, no, that's not what it really is.
Yeah. There's lots of different styles of platforming, and we've had all kinds of different subcategories like 2D, 2.5D, 3D, all kinds of fun little definitions just on how do you navigate the level. So Just Cause is a great example. Would you call Just Cause an open world game? Maybe. Perhaps. It's a big level.
I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some games that are hard to classify for sure, but you could still say it's an open world action adventure. So
yeah, what's the main element?
Exactly.
This or that. Yeah.
In terms of creative ambitions, RPGs can be categorized from what region they were made, but we unanimously don't call Demon's Souls a JRPG, despite it being made in Japan. Some genres, like Metroidvania, are solely based off of old, established titles and say nothing.
Old?
Metroid was
there's still Metroidvanias nowadays, my dude.
Yeah, the reason why we call it Metroidvania is Metroid was the first game that I recall that did the whole use power-ups to unlock other parts of the level to continue the story. And Vania was attached to that because of Symphony of the Night, and not every Metroid game or uses the Metroid formula is a space story or a space level. So Castlevania took that formula and use medieval magic fantasy castle setting, and so much that it was so popular that when Koji Igarashi left Konami, he started calling that genre his own. He called it Igavania, which is weird, but he did that.
Not wrong, but that's not like the more universal name we use for it, which is Metroidvania.
Exactly, because he thought he invented or reinvented the Castlevania style to be the 2D side-scrolling fun game, or the fun franchise it was until he got fired. And then he made his own game from Kickstarter. So, yeah, he's trying to capitalize on the genre alone by saying, no, I did that. And you're like, well, you didn't really do that, but you made it popular enough.
You half did it.
Yeah, like he's the guy who put it on the map. And not to say Metroid isn't popular. Of course it's popular. But when we think of a game that follows that formula of Metroid, that's not a space game, we call it Metroidvania.
While other genres are named after camera angles, the main problem...
No. The games are called first-person or third-person shooters because that's what you're doing in the game. You are firing a gun from a third-person or first-person perspective. That's all.
There's a huge difference. Third person, you're going to see where your character is at all times. First person, you are the character.
Exactly. You don't call Devil May Cry a third-person shooter because you're not really... Well, there are some shooting elements, but you're not literally doing that majority of your time. It's a hack and slash, third-person platforming, everything. It's
platforming.
What would you call like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, third-person fighter?
Yeah. It's like you don't have to go that way. You don't have to go that style. Yeah. It's become its own thing. Yeah, games like that have become their own genre. There's many times we describe like Devil May Cry and God of War and Castlevania, the Darkness 3D stuff, as all the same kind of genre. They're all the same.
Darkness? You mean Lords of Shadow?
Lords of Shadow, thank you. Yeah. So they're all their own. They've stolen from each other the gameplay format, and we call that whatever.
Which in and of themselves, they stole their shit from God of War.
Right. So it's kind of like a God of War. We call it God of War clones or this and that clone. Same with turn-based JRPG mechanics, like from Dragon Quest. It's like, okay, everyone lines up. We saw it with Lufia, kind of the original Final Fantasy that was side to side. So, yeah, you take an element that's been copied and you name it the same kind of thing in a genre sense. That's all it is.
Problem is that the conventions we use to define game genres is taken purely at face value, like hack and slash, as if there are no other redeeming qualities to that type of game.
Okay, no one's saying...
But who's saying that?
Yeah. I mean, we say hack and slash, I think of like Diablo, like the original action-adventure games, like, not Hide-Lide, but like the... Prince of Persia, I think, was kind of like a hack and slash, even though it was more like fencing with platforming and puzzle. Like there's platforming, there's puzzle solving, there's a little bit of like getting the key, like Metroid-ish Vania elements. So, but it has the hack and slash element as well. But no one's saying that's all it is.
Well, it is like, okay, if you are the consumer going into a game, like what is the main purpose you're going to buy? What is the main thing that you want to be doing for the majority?
Right. It's usually the combat.
Fighting. Yeah, that doesn't mean it's just like that should be 100% of the game.
Exactly. Like you think of, let's take a game like Mass Effect, the first one. It's an RPG, has RPG stats. You have third-person combat, and then you have like cinematic cutscene dialogue. That's the main two things you're doing. You're shooting in third person and you're talking in cutscenes. So
yeah,
like what would you a cinematic space opera? It's like sure. Third person action adventure, sure.
You don't even need to play. It's just a movie.
Yeah, no one's saying you can't have multiple genres. There's nothing wrong with that. And no way are we reducing the genre to the game. We're just saying, yeah, this is only a third-person shooter. It's like, no one's saying that.
While also suggesting that the gameplay is borderline mindless.
No.
Now, there are a few genres that do work thanks to the inherent simplicity that the name implies.
Mindless looks at DMC.
How can you say Devil May Cry, even at the second game, is mindless? It's kind of boring, but it's not mindless. There's combinations. There's swapping of weapons. There's all kinds of cool things you have to do to get the higher score.
Styles, combos, style.
It is so. Once you get to 3, it really, well, 5 is probably the biggest one, but 3 is where.
Five can go absolutely nuts with the shit you can pull off.
Yeah, it's crazy. When I was playing 3, I thought that was really complicated. Then I saw 5, and I'm like, oh my god.
I mean, they made 3 retroactively more complicated because later in the HD ports, they like gave you access to all 4 styles at once. If you remember that.
Oh,
really? Oh my god!
You didn't have access to all 4 styles at once before. In the HD re-release, they gave you access. Like I think it was the Switch version that gave you that. And then PC modders found a way to make it work on the HD collection on PC.
Oh Jesus!
And trust me, it's like comparing 3, 4, and 5. There's definitely an escalation of the madness that you can do.
Yeah. So
and even God of War, which was the founding father of the mindless gameplay, there is a strategic element there. You do still have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like you got to block and parry and
you got to
dodge,
parry, like the air combos, like pay attention to certain enemies. Yeah. Even in the game that pretty much cemented.
That's what I've been doing for the past 2 God of War games.
We have someone that just played through these games. At least some of them.
Yeah, I think he
can attest to this.
I think he's confusing the genre classification as the be all end all for defining what a game is, when anyone who plays these games don't think in terms of genre. They think in terms of what you're like trying to defeat a boss, what strategy do I use, what weapon, what technique. It's not.
Is there a story to the game?
Yeah, like
that's going to be the main drive.
Yeah, when I'm playing a game that's not combat focused, let's say Mass Effect, where you're exploring a lot, you're talking to people, I'm not going, well, this is a cinematic experience with cutscene, dialogue, interaction, GUI. I'm like, no, I'm talking to people. I'm making choices. I'm branching dialogue at most.
What would you call it if you're playing like Halo online?
Multiplayer?
The cinematic masterpiece where you interact with real human people.
With bullets, yeah. It's a first-person bullet simulator or something. I don't know.
I don't even get his point with this Mario Kart.
Well, like, I think he's saying
it works when it's oversimplified. Like the oversimplification works.
Not even Mario Kart. Well, not even Mario Kart is oversimplified. There is a lot. There is still a lot to it, especially in 8 Deluxe.
Right.
It's a lot of people tend to look on the surface and not really go any deeper.
Yeah, and there's so much. All the Mario Kart games have gotten more complex. I remember when Double Dash came out, that was a big deal. And
it's like the Double Dash.
Oh, that was the best one.
One of the best ones. Yeah, it's the big standout in the series just because of the 2-for-1 mechanic.
Yeah, that was really fun when I got it. So.
That was pretty much a defiance of like what Mario Kart had established itself with the whole like wacky racing thing, and just added that extra element to it just to switch things up.
Yeah,
literally and figuratively.
Let's look at the WarioWare games. Like those games are so weird and diverse, and you could call it a puzzle game, but it's like a Twitch puzzle game. Like it happens so quickly that. It doesn't, like, you have to figure out within 3 seconds what the heck is going on before you lose.
Yeah. What genre would you narrow down for all that shit?
Yeah,
we know they're minigame collections, but that's not a genre. That's just what they are.
You said it was device, so there's black people on there.
Oh yeah. It's all Wario is black. Yeah, it's.
Come on, man.
Anyway.
Meanwhile, Threadnought in the chat contesting Mario 64 is the best in the series.
Okay, probably the most influential.
Yeah, I'll say Wii, but let's move on.
Okay.
Like sports, racing, or simulator games. But there are other genres that make sense due to their cultural landscape, and we have a deep-rooted understanding.
What the hell is that? The cultural landscape of a genre. What does that mean? Like Doom is the first first-person shooter, maybe? The cultural landscape of a video game genre?
Fallout?
Maybe like
maybe.
Half-Life 2, like they're so influential that everyone thinks, oh, that's the baseline that we compare everything else to.
I mean, going off of that point, in all seriousness, like GoldenEye pretty much set the standard for shooters on console. That was the first big shooter on console.
Right.
From there, they like add on top of it, and then Halo came along in 2001 and pretty much perfected the formula from that point on.
And then you got Perfect Dark, which just built on top of that style from the N64.
We do not speak of Perfect Dark.
We don't? Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking like, yeah, there's a lot of watershed games that are just like, wow, no one's done this before.
Yeah, Mario's like Super Metroid, Mario 64.
Oh, Super Metroid for sure, yeah.
Resident Evil 4, Metal Gear Solid, Halo. I just brought it up earlier.
But they're not.
Dark Souls.
They're not necessarily genres, though.
No, but just going off of your point that it's like it's like what they did within the established norms of their genres.
Right.
They were able to
they do something new, hasn't been done before. They call it a new genre, like stealth adventure for Metal Gear or whatever. And that was the first sort of big cinematic experience.
Yes.
So.
But it's like even in those examples, like the really like groundbreaking titles, like in terms of genre, a lot of them really don't like overstep those boundaries too much. They do still work within what they are, within what they already have.
Yeah. I'm a bit confused why he's so hung up on genre, though.
Well, because he was using those examples. Where, I guess it was.
I know, but I get it when people walk into, like, so nowadays you go into a cinema, you're like, what am I going to watch? And you look at the posters and you're like, that looks fun. And from the visuals, like the things they're wearing and the poses and the facial expressions, like, oh, that's a comedy, or that's a space, farce or something like that. There's a farcical element, there's an in space or whatever. Like you can pick apart what the genre is by looking at the posters. And that's what I think he's getting at. It's like you look at the box art, you look at the trailer.
Well, that's the case, then that's not good.
Well, there's lots of reasons to buy a game, right? I remember buying a game before I even had a console because I liked the music. I was like, I want to get that game because the music's awesome, and I bought it.
Oh, well, sure. Maybe back then, but considering how they do box arts now.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you have to pay and you have to upcharge to even get a unique box design.
Really?
Well, yeah. Say you're pre-ordering or something.
Okay, all those silly pre-orders bonuses. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And you get like a cool cover for your game disc or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we think genre comes from content. That's sort of the point. But when you're talking about content, you don't buy a game based off, well, someone told me it's a space opera, therefore I'm going to buy it. It's like, no, that's stupid. I say, let me see a trailer and go, wow, that looks like a really cool platforming action adventure. Oh, it's Star Wars. Oh, you get a lightsaber. Oh, there's a cute little robot that helps you open doors. I want to play that. It's a space opera. Ooh. So I don't know why he doesn't.
God of War, but in space.
Yeah. Like when you say God of War, it's like, oh, I can't wait to play the new God of War game. And it's like, this is not God of War. What is this? Why does he have an axe? When was he Thor?
Yeah. Why is it a third-person shooter? Why is it like in one take?
Why is it a different voice actor? Why is it all different? Yeah, that's a different game to everyone else. Not to say it's a horrible game, but it's not what people were expecting. So
it's not a God of War game.
Yeah, you wouldn't call it a God of War game. You'd say it is a God of War franchise game, but it's not in the same genre. Anyway.
Of the connotations that come with the genre, such as survival horror. But the problem doesn't stem from what we call the genres and how we apply them, but rather how we construct the genre in the first place.
I don't know what he's talking about. Does he mean the person making the game?
Yeah, how do you construct the genre?
It would have to be the people playing the game going, this is a shoot 'em up action adventure platformer, whatever. This is an RPG hack and slash. This is a turn-based D&D game or whatever. Why is that a problem? How is that a problem? Is he getting confused with like video game genre and like story genre?
I'm getting confused. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, he is really like all over the place. Like, dude, what is the problem here?
Genre, film, or television use the techniques of the medium to build and portray good themes and motifs, which...
What?
Can you rewind that a little bit? Sorry, my internet.
Let's try this again.
The genre in the first place. Genre in film or television use the techniques of the medium to build and portray good themes and motifs, which then help...
Okay, let's think for a second. There are certain camera techniques and settings and color palettes and lighting and shadow and like the noir genre, the noir comic, the noir film. Yes, he's right. That the film noir uses certain techniques to make it look and sound and feel like film noir. That's true. What's wrong with that?
Okay.
Doesn't mean it's good or bad. They have techniques for it. He's saying it's good. It's like, well, you could have shitty noir.
Then therefore game genres are dumb? I don't understand.
He's getting to a point, I hope, but I'm just like, all right, I see what you're saying.
Define the genre. Techniques like a film's edit, pacing, camera work, mise-en-scene, and structure all help to give the audience a specific experience. So
Yes.
Action has pretty distinct pacing in film, mostly with anywhere up to 3 to 4 spectacle scenes and a huge sequence for a finale, slowly ramping up in intensity, thanks to the snappy yet bodacious edit. These sequences...
What? Okay, now he's talking about video editing, or specifically video editing. In an action story, let's say like horror, you have things like jump cuts or jump scares, which doesn't build up to anything. It's just boom, scary. So there are various camera and narrative techniques, visual and audio, which would constitute stuff like survival or horror genre. Yes, he's not wrong. I don't.
Well, it's weird to use the superhero film as an example.
Well, he's just finding footage.
So, because now we're tapping into many sort of genres within.
I don't know what he means by bodacious edit, though. What is a bodacious edit?
Bodaciously. That means it's beautiful. I don't know.
I mean,
and that's what makes this genre because of the bodacious edit.
Does he mean that it's really, really good post-production? Like, yeah, we have millions of dollars worth put into post-production to make films very glossy and action and look good with cool CGI and editing. Yeah, that's true. Can you just say that as I use the word bodacious? Like, what the hell is bodacious? Anyway.
I don't know. He was trying to come up with words that would sound really intelligent.
Right now,
Google search.
He hasn't
defined the word of the day. I don't know.
He hasn't defined the genre term yet. He's just jumping into it, and I'm like, where are you going? What are you saying? What do you mean?
Yeah, why is game genres are dumb?
Well, he's gonna get to that, I hope.
Okay.
Sequences are what we remember them for, but how's it done, and for what purpose? Well, action films commonly touch on themes involving power dynamics, and these
What? Action films?
Power dynamics?
Wait a second. Okay, I don't know what he means by power dynamics, but I'm assuming it's the classical term meaning a relationship struggle or a relationship where there's a struggle. Do you
John Wick?
Do you honestly think John Wick is having a relationship problem?
It's a revenge story. He kills everyone.
He just talks about movies for like 2 or so minutes straight for no reason. Even though we're talking about genres.
What is the power dynamic between John Wick and random white guy he's about to kill? I don't know.
The power dynamic that he shared with his wife through the dog.
Yeah, the dog. It all goes back to the dog.
What is the power dynamic of the second and third one?
I think I know what's going on here. I don't
know.
I think this guy read a book or watched a documentary or something about film, he doesn't know the words he's using, and he's trying to make them sound right in his brain. And we're listening to that right now.
I'm just like with John Wick, it all goes back to the dog, just like how in
Is it
Doom it all
because-
goes back to the rabbit.
Is it because John Wick is like a video game character?
In
Because he's in
I guess.
Fortnite.
It's fuck you. And fuck you because Dragon Ball just got added to Fortnite too for.
Oh yeah, I thought that was a joke. I was like,
No, it
everyone's
was leaked months
buying
ago.
that.
Literally, it's
Oh
like, you remember?
Jesus!
Do you know like the little capsules that they use in the show? It's like that model was found like months ago in like a data mine.
Oh,
That's. I think it was the capsule and the Saiyan space pod. I think those were the things. That were
Fortnite
found.
has now become anime.
I'm just like,
Now we can't define what genre it is.
All right. Well, I'm just like laughing at this guy's choice of words. It's just he's probably not trying to say it. He's trying to say the action in the scene, not the power dynamic.
Okay, well he needs to better edit his own script.
I wouldn't be surprised if he brought up John Wick because of Fortnite.
Well, this is from 5 years ago, so I don't know.
I think he was in Fortnite around that time. Hold on, let me double check.
5 years ago?
No, he was. He used to be just some random guy in a suit, and then they decided, okay, we're gonna put John Wick into the game.
Yeah, it originally started as like an homage skin. That's like it kind of looked like John Wick, but it was just a skin for anyone. And then they actually added John Wick.
All right. Well, let's.
While we go back to the video, I'll just double check.
Okay.
Themes are commonly connected to how the film is shot and edited. So something
No, themes have nothing to do with cinematography. You're wrong. That's a dumb thing to say.
like a lone person that overcomes a powerful entity, or a rebellion against a societal leader. These can
That has nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with visual and editing techniques in film.
At least not an action movie, is not a thing.
Well, how do you? I mean, you could show, like, you know, the opening after the title crawl of Star Wars Episode 4. You see the small little Corvette, and you see the giant Death Star follow it.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
that is visually to show that one ship is really big and the other one's tiny, 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 and that you could argue that the Empire is big and powerful. But that's a visual technique to showcase that things are bigger and smaller than each other, not to showcase that the people on the Corvette are tiny. Or the Darth Vader's on the Corvette too, so is he tiny? No, of course not. No, it's.
I mean, you get those film nerds, right? They go and they analyze every single shot and how it all visually tells a story. And
Sure,
whatnot,
sure.
right?
But not in this subjective interpretation of what's going to happen or what it means. Thematically, it's like, no, it's just a big, big ship representing a big, big group of people who have the capacity to build a ship that big against, some small group of people. That's it. Themes come in from the nature of the content, if that's showcased properly at all.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's keep going.
be seen through the techniques of the medium, which then play in that power relation, building the motifs.
Building the
What?
What's a motif again? Can you define that?
Motif is a pattern. So if he's saying power relation, I don't know. Before he used power dynamic, now he's using power relation. So a motif could be a visual motif, like a symbol that's repeated. It could be a literal pattern, like a visual pattern, like, I don't know. Like certain colors could be a motif. But usually it's a motif about a thing that, like, think of Forrest Gump. You have that magical feather that flies around the screen. Like, that's a motif. And there could be multiple themes that could be used as a motif. So you're talking about having themes in different contexts, which are the same. That's a motif. So it depends on what he's saying. This, I don't know what a power relation motif is. Like he's really using these terms improperly, and I don't know what he's getting at. And this is about cinema when we should be talking about video games. But okay, whatever.
Which, okay, that's a lot to unpack in itself, but let's keep going because this is important. See now, look at how a powerful character is shown in the frame. Usually a lower angle will let them fill more of the frame, getting up close in your face to establish control.
Not necessarily. How about the good? I was watching Red Letter Media talk about The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Very famous movie. The gunslinger scene where there's 3 of them at the graveyard, and they zoom in on the eyes. The eyes are like focused on really, really tightly. They're looking back and forth at each other. But then we learned that the whole thing was rigged from the start, so there was no power dynamic. It's just there's one guy who knows what's going on, one guy shitting his pants, and the other dude's like, "Who am I going to kill first?"
I think I remember that shot, yeah.
Yeah. You could argue there's a power dynamic, but that's because they're about to die. It's not a relationship scenario where some guy has more political or influential sway with the other, because they're about to shoot each other.
The way they enter a frame, I'm like, there's billions of ways they can enter a frame. Like that doesn't. Yeah, sure, there's a common pattern.
Yeah,
but
the camera angle or the level of zoom does not really establish that someone's in control of the scenario. It's like, what? No, they're all zoomed in. What are you talking about?
Captain America, the Winter Soldier, enters the scene. He's zoomed out. Like,
yeah, you could do.
I don't.
As we saw in
zoomed out and it still works.
Yeah, in Hong Kong cinema, they have those zoomed out fight scenes where it's one take, and you see the whole body, whether it's Old Boy or the original ones with Bruce Lee. Like they're all like zoomed out. They really great choreography, and it was their choice to do that because at the time they didn't have GoPros, they didn't have Handycams or Steadicams, and they did what they wanted, and that's just good acting and good setup, and that's their choice. I wouldn't say if they were zoomed in, Bruce Lee is in control. It's like, okay, sometimes he is with Enter the Dragon and the Chinese Connection, but I think at the end he dies. The Chinese Connection, where the whole movie just stops, where he jumps at people. And it's like, wah! So you don't know what happens, but this is a very, I think he's just showing examples for the sake of using his knowledge of film. Here's an example.
In a video about video games where he argues game genres are dumb.
I don't know yet. I don't know what he's getting at.
I don't know why he put this video together, and then he obviously had to edit it, so he looked over that and thought, yeah, that's good enough to post.
I'm smart.
I know cinema. Let's talk about video games. It's like, what? Anyway.
And yes, Gigaman, I didn't... okay, so he was added 2 years after the video?
2 years after this video, yes. John Wick was added after this video.
Okay.
So even then, it wouldn't have worked. So...
yeah, okay.
Anyway.
Anything to defame this guy, yes.
All right, let's try and keep going.
Yeah.
Even editing techniques are laid out to emphasize moments of danger. A giant explosion can be over in a second, but these editing techniques show the explosion more and more with drawn outs, which make the scene seem like a spectacle and weighty in terms of how the protagonist...
Well, that depends. I mean, that's just Terminator's example.
Yeah, we can go to anime. There's a 3-cut action scene where there's someone punches someone or there's an explosion. It's like, boom, and then another angle, boom. Same scene, just from different perspectives.
And then
I'm just thinking like Jackie Chan. It's like, well, they had a lot of cuts. That's just because they wanted to get the best shots of Jackie Chan jumping off a building or something.
And then there's Dragon Ball, aka the king, the undisputed king of anime action.
Let's
draw
out a fight.
Find me on that.
There's a drawn out, not even a fight, just with the spirit ball. Let's draw that out to 2 episodes.
Well, that's just the original run of Dragon Ball Z because it was stalling them for the manga.
Yeah.
Remember when Kira wrote on his notebook? And ate potato chips.
Well, in my honest opinion, Death Note could go fuck itself with that. Just like, I don't get why people like that show.
My feelings are hurt. I liked it.
It's not that I don't like. It's not that I hate it. I just don't get it.
I have a tiny pencil in my left hand. You can't see it.
And a tiny piece of magical paper in my wristwatch. Fucking.
The fact that I can't see it makes it more doable that he is Kira.
Like, that's why that video we covered way back of could Batman solve the Kira case? That's why I like that video so much, is because it's trying to mesh that in a way that makes sense, but also is like actually make it still make it good.
All right.
The protagonist responds to it. Now, genre is such a complicated topic that scholars in academia have discussed it for decades.
No, give me one philosopher. Give me one media critic who ever argued genre, please. I would love to read them because I've never heard that before.
There's pretty much a general consensus at this point, right? And they use it to teach film in school and universities.
When you have a genre like romance, it's like, it's so broad. It's so big, like science fiction. It's so broad. It's like you could apply that to anything in the future, anything with a little bit of technology that we don't have today, or even, the time machine, Jules Verne, or go back, 100 years when he wrote all those science fiction novels before we had the science fiction genre. It doesn't matter. It's such a broad term. It's got to have spaceships. Like, no, it doesn't. Like, what are you talking? Anyway.
I've just kind of compacted years of research and lectures into about a minute.
Who are you? What did you do your dissertation on? Did you get a degree? What happened? I hate this broad sort of like mundane conversation where I just turned 100 years of philosophy into 2 minutes. It's like, what? No, you didn't.
Based on video games.
I've heard actual professors do that with like history or entire Greco-Roman thought for 400 years and distill it into 2 minutes. I've heard that those lectures before. I've never heard of a guy being argumentative about movie categorization and arguing with someone else about what the proper rom-com is, or what does that mean? Like, I've never heard that. What a weird thing to say. I said before, but the podcast that RPG is a thing that gamers argue a lot because it's so big, and nowadays it's ubiquitous. It's in every game almost. So it's hard to define, and that's totally fair. But genres for media like movies, no.
First of all, that's
I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, Morbius was an RPG film of all time.
Bruh.
Like, it had so many elements. It's hard to categorize that movie specifically.
All right. Oh.
Let me play the clip again.
Okay. I think I need a drink. I'm getting really sleepy. This guy's just like, gobbledygook. Anyway.
He's curing your insomnia. Oh, no.
But the main point that I'm trying to emphasize is that genre is built from the techniques of the medium.
No. What? Dude. You know who defined genre? The guys watching the film, not the creators who's when George Lucas made Star Wars, he wasn't going, this is going to be a sci-fi rom-com bibbidi-bobbidi-boo. No, you don't get to say that. It's the people viewing it who get to say that. The people selling the thing get to say that because they go, what sells? Well, we got to tell people it's science fiction or space opera or this or that. Okay, put it on the poster. Classify it in the booklet that says it's an action romance or whatever. The bookstore is going to do whatever the hell they want with your book, and they'll put it wherever it sells. You don't get to. You could put it on your box art, I guess, but that doesn't change anything If it turns out not to be the thing, you're wrong, and no one's going to like you. Can you imagine getting Mario Kart and going, I thought this was going to be a go-kart game. It's like a space opera, third-person shooter, something like, what the hell?
Instead of playing Super Mario Galaxy, what is this?
This is not a Mario game. What the hell? The techniques. I use the fast Fourier transform to calculate normalized vectors so I can make a first-person shooter. It's like,
there's clearly a power dynamic between Mario and, I don't know, the girl from
the galaxy.
oh yeah, the power dynamic between the floating eyeball heads in Doom and my shotgun.
Like the cacodemons, yeah.
Yeah. What's the power dynamic between me and the what is it? The strippers and Duke Nukem? Like, I don't know.
They strip for me.
I give them money or I shoot them. Yeah, it's about
Hitman, there's a power dynamic with every character, right?
oh god. I want to know the power dynamic between Hitman and his briefcase. That's amazing.
That's why he's a toxic male.
Yeah.
What?
The homing beacon or the homing weapon briefcase technique before they patched it in.
Didn't you watch Kingsman?
No.
I mean, they used a briefcase machine gun.
No. That's not as cool.
Or how about Iron Man 2 briefcase armor?
Power
Science
dynamic
fiction
between
is much
Heisenberg and-
more than just a movie set in outer space. Horror is much more than it gives me the spooks. They can overlap, and different techniques can be used to emphasize a single idea. It is more than face value, and we need to give games
Let me just rewind that. He's not wrong, but I think he used the wrong term there.
gives me the spooks. They can overlap, and different techniques can be used to emphasize a single idea.
Okay, so he says a single idea. It's like, yeah, but you were talking about genres being broad. So it's like, okay, yes, they're broad and they can specify a single idea. Like, what was that George Clooney space opera or science fi? It's like a horror. Solaris, based off a book, right? And it starts off as a horror. You're like, ooh, or it starts off as like, what's going on? And then it becomes a horror, and then it chills out. So it focuses on the idea of this dude's relationship with his ex-wife. That's it. There's other characters in there, and they have their own weird backstories. But other than that, it's just, hey, we encounter an alien species, and we don't know what to do. That's it. That's a simple idea. And there's elements of romance and loss and depression and suicide and all that good stuff. But no one's saying it's just a space opera in space because it has spaceships.
It is more than face value, and we need to give games the same treatment,
I agree.
which is easier said than done. Video games are a vastly more complicated medium in comparison to film. The mere introduction of player agency and the effort on the game's world completely flips how you define techniques, making it even...
How?
No.
Wait, how?
No. These are the same techniques you use in cinema for cinematic effect. That's fine.
Yeah, the only difference is that it's more direct because it's an interactive medium. That's it.
You have to define new tech or use new techniques and describe those techniques like a GUI or a HUD or whatever pop-up notification to give you information like hit points or bars, or like you do damage, you see little ones fly up to the sky like you did physical damage on someone's body. Like that's notification to communicate to the audience or the player that you're doing damage, it's not working, it's too low, it's too high, whatever. That's fine. That's not hard.
In God of War 2, it's like that opening was amazing, by the way. It's getting you into how you're supposed to play Kratos and how he sort of becomes regressed back to level 1, essentially.
Just wait until 3.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yes.
All right.
harder to pin down distinct motifs and
I don't get why.
Motifs.
How did we go from, because video games are difficult to define with their techniques because there's new, why are we jumping into a high level concept like motifs in storytelling or visual storytelling? That's not.
What's the motif in Fallout 3?
How are we getting from A to B, dude? Like, what are you're comparing apples to oranges? Like, what are you talking about?
What I tell you, he's saying fuck all about actual genres, talking about fucking motifs.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, I'm just like, where's the talk about games, my dude? It's like game genres are dumb. Where's the game?
Wait, why are they? But why are they dumb though?
He hasn't said it.
Yeah, we're still waiting.
Said it like once or twice. But
you see how we don't need more help with this video because we're just totally lost and no one else could possibly understand what the hell this guy's talking about.
Well, sure we can. We can just grab a homeless guy from the street.
Tell me about a distinct motif in video games. What's the genre of Devil May Cry? Like, I don't know. Does it matter?
You know, maybe the title is misleading. I almost get the sense of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Themes. So remember how we talked about conventions in action films being defined by power relations and the sequences that act as a spectacle? Those film conventions don't work for games at all.
Yes, they do.
What?
Ooh.
How?
In fact, they work better in games because of the interactivity.
Remember the Resident Evil games, the jump scares? I do.
Oh, you can go to that.
Yeah, QTEs.
Last of Us if you want.
Like,
I know people don't like it, whatever, but you just easily, okay, father and daughter there.
Yeah.
It's like QuickTime events can, as overused as they are now, it's like they can really like put you in the thick of the action or the tension or whatever's going on.
Yeah, I remember.
Like in the same way that an action scene in a film like John Wick or a superhero film is like in a video game, a QTE can accomplish the same thing just as well, if not better.
Yeah, you see even in Mass Effect 2 with the cutscene director, that Italian guy who was brought in, he was like, how do we get this to convey when to use the trigger for Paragon or Renegade? So you had to have Shepard like make a fist, tighten his knuckles, crack his knuckles, zoom in on his face with his eyes, stuff like that to get the player to go, oh, this is a serious event. Shepard's about to do something. And if you don't do it, then there's also a path for that as well. So he had to do two things in either case, which I thought was brilliant because that's what you wanted out of a game, which is about choice with the dialogue wheel. And now they're using another technique to do the same effect, which was part of the original design of Mass Effect, the first game, which they couldn't do because they didn't have time or it wasn't part of the finished product.
Yeah. We can see all we want of the execution of how it was done,
Right.
but at least the idea on paper definitely has that, influence from film of like giving more emphasis to certain moments through like the gameplay choices like that. Like the all of a sudden, you can be more of a good person, you can be more of an asshole at a moment's notice. And notice how, if I remember correctly, neither Mass Effect 2 or 3 ever give you the choice of both at once. It's always just one.
Yeah, and that was kind of what people were sort of pissed off about because they wanted to be a Paragon all the way, but they also wanted to have some Renegade interrupts they really liked. But that's the beauty of choice as well as the allowing the player... Well, the game had a certain threshold. Once you had a certain number of Paragon points, then it was okay to do the Renegade ones, because you wouldn't miss out on future Paragon options.
Hey, I'll give you that because I go Paragon all the way in Mass Effect 3, and then right at the fucking end, I choose to go Renegade and just stab Kai Lang right in the abdomen.
Yeah.
Because fuck him.
Yeah. So that's the beauty thing of like you get like that's pretty much a Renegade option anyway, but it's something Shepard, I would argue, would have done regardless. But I like the fact that it's interactive, so the player can involve themselves. So
before we go back to the video, would it have made any difference if every so often we had like the on the spot choice? If a couple times we had a choice of either Or do you think it would have been too much?
Well, it would be a lot of work, obviously. It would be kind of redundant, though, because not every scene or every scenario would require a paragon response. Like, can you imagine the guy, like the famous one is in Mass Effect 2, where you push the guy through glass and he falls to his death? That is clearly Renegade.
Yes. No. Yeah. True.
What would a paragon do? Just stare him down and do nothing? No, you'd have to like shoot him in the foot or something. Wouldn't kill him, but it would not be a diplomatic maneuver. So I don't know what that would be like. I mean, it's possible. So
I mean, that's why I say that if they were to do it, the way I would see it is they would do it very rarely, like once or twice across the whole game.
yeah, because a lot of the Renegade interrupts help you in the game because you like that in the same level where you acquire Garrus, I think, you shock the guy with his electrical device in the back when he's fixing the helicopter thing. And that
Is that 2 or 3?
that's 2. Yeah. You're working too hard, and he goes bam, and guy falls to the ground.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh,
Like, I do remember the one where right before you recruit him, he tries to kill his target, but you have to keep going Paragon interrupts to like convince him to not do it.
That's the end of That's the end of his.
It's the end of his recruitment. Yeah,
not his recruitment. That's the end of his loyalty mission.
his personal quest.
Yeah. But yeah, trying to get up to Garrus. There's that guy. He's part of the Blue Suns, I think, and he's fixing the helicopter or whatever, that hover.
I remember, yeah, the hovercraft, yeah.
And he's like, "You're working too hard." Bzzz, and that's a Renegade interrupt. I was like, shouldn't you do that as Paragon too? Like, that's kind of important. So, because it helps you in the gameplay. So it's like, okay, but that's fine because that's how it was originally designed in the first game, where certain elements could have good or bad results. You don't know because you're just playing a role, and if you're going to keep being nice, then you can't expect the the warlords or the Krogan to respect you because you're always diplomatic. They want to see force.
You're going to be a bit too much of a pushover for your own sake.
Exactly. So I still like the idea that there's only certain options in the game. Especially when they tie that into class in the DLC for Omega.
It was the Omega DLC. It was like right near the end where you have to stabilize the core. You can just shortcut it. It's like with any of the tech-based classes, any of those 3, you could just shortcut that sequence.
Right. I thought it was just engineer though. Okay.
Yeah, no, I remember doing it as a Sentinel too, and as an infiltrator. Any 3 of the tech ones.
Ah, cool. See that?
You could just I think it's instead of being tempted by Renegade choices, I think you could just shortcut it at the very start of that sequence.
Yeah. See, that's the kind of stuff obviously I wanted more content in general, but that's the kind of stuff you wanted to see as the game progressed. Maybe in the third game, it's like, oh, if you're an infiltrator, you can do a really great, cool cloaking sniper shot because that's what your spec does. As opposed to doing it in gameplay, it'll do it in a cutscene, and that'll give you certain bonuses. Like stuff like that only someone who is hardcore, sniper throughout the 3 games would get.
Or even just to keep it simple to just like the 3 base classes like combat and biotics. Like maybe if you're in any combat class, and like maybe you can make the shot better than one of your allies.
Right,
or if
right.
you're biotic, you can for example, like stabilize something more than someone else, or whatever,
Yeah.
Like in the same vein as stabilizing the reactor in Omega.
Yeah, like the same way all the classes had different combat melee maneuvers. Let's say you get into a cutscene, you have to do a melee maneuver, and because I don't know, Sentinel has electric plus knife, like that would like jab into a metal or robotic machine and short circuit it, whereas the Vanguard would just smash it into pieces because he's just biotic fisting in the thing. So
and Soldier can probably just make that perfect shot that just like gets things over with.
Sure, like that's like they should have evolved the gameplay, because if they introduced the QuickTime element of Mass Effect 2's interrupts, it's like, what's the next step? Okay, well, give us a class-based solution, and how that, like, it could be something simple like shooting someone or putting them to sleep or anything like that. But
yeah, the problem with the One in Omega DLC is the fact that in terms of the game's overall lifespan, that idea came way too late.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's the issue.
Anyway, back to this guy's weird genre argument.
Sorts
I
of
wanna hear you
games
talk
ranging
about
from
Mass Effect.
Super Mario to Bayonetta play with power relations. And games by design have sequences created for the protagonist to make their way through. Literally any game with a boss fight works like this. Let's look at a game like Halo,
I mean, all
which
this goes without
relishes
saying,
and
though.
is filled to the brim with classic sci-fi themes. What it means to be human, the banality of evil.
Okay, so now he's talking about storytelling elements. Before he was just talking about bosses and fighting them, and I think he means like the RPG mechanics of like, I have a short sword of +2 damage and the boss has like 14 armor, so I can only do, whatever roll the dice damage I can do with my +2. It's like, oh, now we're talking about storytelling. Okay. Is he getting setting and storytelling confused with gameplay? I don't know.
Does he just not care? That's probably the more.
I think it's a lack of vocabulary. It's a lack of getting the right context for what he's talking about. Because I'm a bit like confused. He's jumping around. It's like, oh, this is what happens in games. Why can't people use genre terms properly? It's like they are, and that's not how we think when we think of games. We think about playing the game and doing the action with the actual weapon, and doing the thing against the actual enemy. Not saying, well, this is a third-person shooter with high-powered guns and they shoot things. Like, no. I was there. I shot the thing with the sniper rifle from this guy. It does this and his head explodes and da-da-da. I don't need to conceptualize it. I don't need to use categories. I could point to it. I did it last night. Look.
It's the fact that because video games, the way they exist, it's like genre is more malleable, you could say.
It is very dynamic. Yeah, that's why RPG is hard to define, because there's so many examples that change based off the gameplay elements or the content that allows you to. Like,
Yeah, but he's not even using RPGs. That's the weird thing about it.
Well, that's the easy one.
Yeah, he only brought up RPGs like the one time earlier in the video.
Like look at Odin Sphere. Odin Sphere has RPG mechanics on top of RPG mechanics. Like your HP has levels. You could upgrade your HP because you got hit, or it's separate from your actual level ups for your character. So there's lots of fun things that occur, and the game is weird. Like it's a literal sphere you're running around on, so the levels are just this giant loop. So it's all 2D. It's all like this side-scrolling experience.
And with RPGs, and that's like you don't have to even go too deep into that. In my opinion, I think just the whole the distinctions between what makes a JRPG versus a Western RPG, I think that on its own could have been a decent argument in terms of what this video is supposed to be.
Yeah, from the 90s and what that meant from Square and Atlas and then Enix.
And then in the West with like CG Project Red with The Witcher and obviously Mass Effect. That is, if you could say it's a Western RPG. Kinda.
Yeah, look at the Black Isle games. Look at the D&D style turn-based games or real-time with pause games. There's lots to pull from. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to describe those games still being RPGs.
Yeah, and you can definitely see like one side versus the other. It's like games that fall under one or the other are, I think, standardized with would be a too strong word. Like standardized within those categorizations.
Oh yeah, when you
Not
say
too much, though, because a lot of those games still have just enough nuances to be unique.
Yeah, when you say like looter shooter, it's like, oh, it's still an RPG, but the focus of the game is just to blow away enemies and get random drops of potentially good loot. As opposed to, well, I'm going to play a story-driven single-player RPG space opera like Mass Effect, even though they're both space operas. So,
yes, Borderlands is another example.
Yeah, perfect example.
Technological reliance, interstellar colonialism, the fear of the other and the unknown, it all works narratively. But a game has much more than narrative to work with. Just like how the Terminator is shot with a low angle to make him seem intimidating, a game's mechanics need to be...
I don't think the low angle makes Arnold intimidating. You could use a normal angle. He'd still be Arnold.
At best, it's just a part of that aesthetic. It's not like the main thing.
Yeah, the whole point hinges on Arnold's unkillable machine.
Exactly. The main thing is what he is and what he's actually doing.
Yeah.
The low angle just is more of an emphasis rather than just being a main element.
Look at the Halloween movies with Mike Myers.
Michael Myers, yeah.
Yeah, he's just a guy. It's all shot from whatever angle they want. He's just this unstoppable dude who walks at you.
Yeah. Again, it's what he is, which is I think is at least like it's supposed to comes off as like an undead murderer, but I'm just like that's just like and it's like what he is and what he's doing. Again, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, it could even be like in a surprise. Some guy just shoots a guy randomly in the head. It's just to demonstrate how fucking crazy they are.
Well,
there's not much complexity that you have to put, or I guess much work that you have to put in to make a terrifying villain or character.
Yeah, it's not that hard. It's definitely difficult if you want to do it right and you want to make something high quality, but not yeah, exactly. But not as much of a high bar as other mediums. But there is still effort to be put into it.
And I don't get how this has to relate to games. Like, because, like, I don't know, I guess Resident Evil, when you have that big guy, what's his name?
Depending on the game.
Yeah, it's chasing after you. There's not much you can do except run away.
Mr. X?
Mr. X and 2.
Mr. X, yeah.
Mr. X in 2, Nemesis in 3, you know.
Right.
Okay.
Interwoven into the experience, not just in the story, but how the player interacts with the game. The hard part comes from understanding how those mechanics...
Well, what if the game is linear?
Yeah, there's a lot more effort there than with anything else. Because it's a more
more
tight experience.
I'm just saying that it depends on the game.
Yes.
Like, it's not just that simple.
Yeah, and in that case, if a game is like a linear story or just a linear experience, there is a lot more effort to make sure that you don't break the illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what you're doing, whether it is like story driven, where you have to make every detail and every like intricate thing count, or if it's like the game that's like the actual game design is linear and you just have to keep the focus on what you actually want.
Right.
Mechanics create an experience which interweave together with the themes in order to form engaging interactions for the player. So in terms of Halo, let's look at a common sci-fi theme as an example. Technological reliance. This is a core science fiction motif, and it is all over Halo. Protect Cortana, Master Chief being an augmented human to the point where he is basically treated like a weapon, the Covenant's religious relationship with Halo, the dichotomy with 343 Guilty Spark.
How is that technological reliance? Does Master Chief ever go, damn, I really need a sniper rifle in this situation, or else I can't do my job?
Maybe he's talking about the TV show.
Anything the game just gives it to you if it's required.
Yeah, when we talk about technological reliance, it's like if someone removes the internet, for example, like a lot of the world would change overnight because we rely on using the internet to do business. And
yeah, how am I supposed to watch my porn?
Well, yeah, entertainment, anything. It's so involved in our lifestyle that if we take it out, we have to go back to pre-1997 or 6. So that would be technological reliance. That is not a theme of Halo.
I just loved how you sidestepped that comment.
Well, just, I mean, I'm sure there are actually
I know.
themes in Halo, but that's not like, like, oh my God, we ran out of petroleum for our cars. Like, can we go get some? No. Okay.
Well, he said it was a motif in science fiction. I'm like, really? Is that?
There's episodes of Star Trek where there's a problem where.
Yeah, it can be.
The food processor stopped working. Their fuel source is out, et cetera, et cetera. But Halo? I don't know. Maybe.
Not really.
Weird thing. I mean,
From what I remember, because I played the Master Chief Collection, the opening's just, okay, there's aliens invading us. Kill them.
Yeah, straightforward.
Yeah.
So if anything, it's like it doesn't dive into anything too deep until much later.
Yeah, if he's talking about in general, like humans are reliant on their tools, it's like you could say that about any story where there's a guy doing something with a tool.
Yeah.
It's not specific to the genre of science fiction. That's kind of, I mean, I have to actually think about all the science fiction I've read and say, when were they reliant on a specific science fiction element, like a tool or tech, to do the job or to get the story going? I don't know.
Well, I guess at that point you're talking about modernity, right? Like, I don't know, what's a movie that you've seen where they didn't have to rely on anything, like caveman movie or something?
Well, even with like post-apocalyptic worlds, like there's always a struggle to survive, so basic needs, but that's not based off technology, that's based off scarcity. So it's like, all right, there's no fresh water, what do? We fight for it. That's the struggle. So
do we need a technology for it though, to purify the water?
That could be the goal of the story, like with Fallout 3, right? So,
right.
But it's not a motif. It's not this symbolic representation every act or every 10 minutes. It's like, see, he hasn't described what a motif means. This could be a pattern.
Yeah.
This could be a narrative pattern. This could be a visual pattern. This could be a color pattern. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a broad term he's using.
Are the cover like think of Deep Space Nine? I can't remember the name of those dudes that have the tetracell white. Like they need that the Jem'Hadar. They need that drug in order to do it, or else they die. Like they need it for fuel, basically.
Yeah, but that's because they were biologically engineered to need it for the sake of obedience.
They are subservient to the founders. They made them that way, exactly.
Yes.
And there are some storylines with that, which is great. But it's not a motif. It's not this, repeating pattern.
Yeah, it's just a straight up plot point.
Yeah. Anyway. This guy is... I feel like if I gave him like 20 minutes of a lecture about storytelling and plot devices and other things, he'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
Oh, yeah, his tiny mind would explode.
Well, no, he'd learn something.
If you want.
No. All right.
You think?
Yeah. He's not dumb.
Yeah.
He's just using words improperly, I think.
I'm being harsh, but it's just, I don't see how, what is the overall point of this video? I just don't get it.
We will get there, I hope, because we're not even halfway there.
We're halfway there. I don't think we're gonna get there.
Like maybe to say like games can do things better than film, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
Some aspects, sure, yeah.
Let's go.
Cold logic. But how do these things translate mechanically? Level design wise, there is a reliance on things like light bridges, protective cover, overshields, using the aliens' tech against them, both with their own weapons and infiltrating their ships. Mechanics like the shield system make the player rely on it, since your actual health will deplete too fast when you're in a skirmish. As a player, when your shield is down, you need to choose between finding safety or finishing the fight. So right there, even mechanically and how the player interacts with the game, there is this reliance on technology. There is then a complement.
Wait, using a tree for cover is the reliance on technology?
He is confusing tactics with some made up plot or narrative idea in science fiction.
It's like technological reliance is kind of made null and void, because I'm pretty sure Halo is one of those universes where they're already way too far in to start questioning this.
Isn't there like power-ups lying on the ground for ammo and weapons that you could just pick up like a few meters away?
Yeah, he just showed the overshield as an example.
Yeah.
But in the same video, he's using a tree to cover himself from the enemy fire. I mean, are you joking?
The technology of trees.
The technology of trees.
environment.
What is this video?
I'm just like, yeah, this is not meshing all that well.
I am self-reliant on this giant rock. Like, okay.
Over-reliance on technology.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
glad sedimentary water patterns have caused the mountain to be in front of my enemies' sights, so I don't have to get shot at.
It just showed up there. It's like poof.
It's technology. It's like, no, it's called planets.
No, it's called pop-in.
Tectonic shift. Yeah.
oh my
Maybe
God.
'cause, like when something like just doesn't load and then it just like pops in out of nowhere. It's like whoa.
Okay.
God.
What a funny. This is semantics on a crazy level that I've never heard of before. Okay, let's try to keep this going before we hurt ourselves.
Try. Keyword try.
To this theme
I'm already
with the
hurting
contrast
myself.
of the Flood, which are an entirely organic but still relentless threat. You see that they are learning how to use technology, using weapons and organizing themselves in military formation. So even things like Halo's enemy design and placement, it hammers down this idea in the player's head. If they learn how to utilize powerful technology, things are gonna get messy.
Yeah, if they learn how to make Chinese cuisine from a cookbook, things are going to get messy. What
What is he, anti-war? I don't understand his point.
I don't like. What is he talking about?
Okay, attribute this to Call of Duty. You're fighting terrorists. You become a terrorist in Modern Warfare 2. What?
If these guys learn how to put on hard hats and sing YMCA, yeah, they're going to have a musical troupe. It's like, yeah.
Oh!
Is Modern Warfare 2 the one that mainstream media complained about because you shoot up at an airport?
Yeah. You're undercover as a Russian terrorist, and you go shoot up an airport.
Yeah, I remember that, and I also remember. I literally remember memories. I was like almost 13 when what was it? Fox News like took the sex scene in Mass Effect 1 out of context.
This is some kind of special pleading for whatever gobbledygook he came up with. Like, well, if they learned how to use certain vehicles, they'd be riding in them. It's
I
like,
know.
yeah.
I know, it's like take the sci-fi element out. It's like, okay, GTA, you're using weapons, you're a bad person. Does that mean the cops that are using the weapons as well, they're good people now?
Yeah, imagine the civilians were using AK-47s. Oh, I guess you'd get shot. Yeah.
I just it's
maybe.
oh, I don't know. This is such a it's like he's anti-weapon all of a sudden. Like, why?
It's like
All right.
fucking
Boom! It's good theming and good science fiction.
Why?
But obviously it isn't always so easy. There are so many different mechanics, themes, and ways they can all interact with one another.
There are different mechanics. How does a theme interact with another theme? What are you talking about?
fucking blew himself up, and it's like,
Dude,
blew
it's
up.
like, okay, you're playing as John Halo, right? You punch somebody to death. What is the theme of that?
Yeah, but he's saying themes interact with other themes. I'm like, what are you talking about?
But he's saying mechanics as well. It's like, what? Teabagging? What does that mean? What's the symbolism behind that?
The noir genre theme, or has the dark romantic of noir interacts with the action adventure theme, and you're like, so you're getting turned on by shooting people? Like, what are you talking about? Is there some romance bar and you shoot people in your romance bar? Oh, I love this gun so much now. I was like, what?
What?
I don't know. What the hell does themes working together like
With the gameplay mechanics, I just like they need to work or else it's dumb. And if they do, then it's also dumb. I don't know. This guy doesn't make any sense.
He's using words in a way that he heard someone use a word. He thought that's a cool word. I'm going to use that in my own brain without defining or understanding what the word means. I think I'm just like, what?
We still don't know how game genre.
Even if you can understand half the words, and then he places the contradiction of the footage within his own word. I don't understand how he was proud to put this up. I'm sorry.
We still don't know how game genres are dumb too.
Yeah, why are they dumb? What's dumb about them? What makes them dumb? Can you define what dumb is?
Has he defined how they're dumb? No, he is not.
All right.
He's defined how he's dumb.
Now we're halfway done. I'm getting tired really fast. Anyway, let's try to get ourselves back into his brain and see where he's going.
Oh, God.
And even then, we are only looking at how mechanics help the themings of genre, but not all games have a dependent.
What the hell is he talking
Oh,
about?
showing. Or showing Sonic Adventure 2. Oh,
The mechanics?
like you.
What did he say? Let me try this one more time.
How mechanics help the themings of genre.
Mechanics?
Steaming of genre.
What?
I don't get it.
Does he mean the verb theming, or does he mean like the theme of a story? Yeah, I'm
just trying to think about the Uncharted 2 opening where you're hanging off from a dangling train off of a Himalayan cliff. Like, what is the theme that is trying to build up to?
We don't know.
You gotta survive shit. Wow.
You're
So thought-provoking.
You're gonna live.
You're running in a Sonic game. What's the theme of the symbolism? It's the
You gotta go fast.
inner workings within an Adventure 2 game.
You could make the argument if he's talking about gameplay, so that's content. So you could say a theme is what a thing is about. So if you're mostly running through, I don't know, San Francisco as Sonic in your game, that's the theme. You're like, okay, but how does that verb relate to genre?
He said within narrative as well, didn't he? Or
I don't know. He said
can we
gameplay.
say that one more time?
Does gameplay denote narrative theme, which then goes into genre?
Jeez.
Like, does that mean if I play a film noir, let's say, I don't know, what's that very well-known face rigging detective story, noir style?
L.A. Noir.
L.A. Noir, there you go. So
Noir.
does that mean if I pull a gun out, because noirs have guns, and that's a common gameplay element, so I'm shooting with my gun, the theme of having guns in noir is part of the genre of noir? I mean, technically, sure.
Okay, but I'm just like, his overall point is game genres are dumb, and I'm like,
How are
you're
they
just
dumb?
I'm having like a migraine right now. How do you?
Next to nothing arguing against game genres. He's just talking about stuff that's in them.
Yeah, see, I don't know.
Giga Man, for whatever reason, you're so quiet.
What?
You're too quiet, Giga Man. I don't know what's going on.
I don't believe you.
Well,
no, I'm being serious.
I think his definition he's using in a different way this time, and I'm not sure what he's exactly saying. There's something to what he's saying, but holy jeez, this is hard to decipher.
I'm just like, what definition?
Anyway,
can you just replay that clip one more time? I'm trying to figure out what he's saying.
All right.
Ways they can all interact with one another. And even then, we are only looking at how mechanics help the themings of genre, but not all games have a dependency on storytelling. Games are a medium.
Okay.
Wait a second. He just said mechanics, so gameplay have a theming on genre, and then he says, but not all games have a dependence on storytelling. It's like, what?
A lot of them do.
I'm trying to decipher this.
You should have said not all games have gameplay that theme genre or theming genre, not the opposite. That's like saying, well, right now I have anchovies on my pizza, but not all pizzas have cheese, and you're just like, what?
Well, I'm just like, okay, what are you talking about? It goes back to, what do you mean by genre?
What was his point?
He's talking about storytelling genre.
Yeah, but gameplay.
But not talking about genre of gameplay. Like, Sonic is still a platformer that you have to play through.
Gameplay denotes the theme, I'm like, okay, my definition of theme I could wrap my brain around, which also denotes genre. Fine. But not all games have narratives, like stories and big cinematic stuff. And it's like, okay, good. What does that mean?
So what do you mean by game genres are dumb?
Well, that's the overall question. But right now, I'm like, he's going somewhere. And I'm just like, where are you going?
Are you sure he's going somewhere?
It's like he's cutting a slice of pie, and then he just flips the pie 180 degrees and starts cutting at the other end. And you're like, where are you going?
About the
No,
first
he takes the pie out, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to cut into it. And then he goes grabs a pasta salad instead and just eats that.
Something, yeah, it's like he was starting with one thing and he just jumped to another idea. And I'm like, what?
Like the friends we meet all know.
I just don't get it.
I would love to, like, this is the kind of guy I have to sit down for like an hour. You're like, what did you mean here? Like, what are you trying to say? And I bet if you just talk to him like a normal guy, he'd probably explain himself very easily. Because right now I'm just like, dude, did you think this through?
I know, but it's again, you have to edit this video. You have to like look at this and go, I think I made a few mistakes over here. I mean, can't you at least see, hear, and think about what you're doing with your video?
All right, let's keep going because I'm going to hurt myself.
Medium of experience. Experience is reliant on hundreds, if not thousands, of individual factors. It is borderline impossible to categorize and assess everything a person can do or feel.
What? No. We don't care about what the person feels. We care about what's in the game. What do you do in the game?
How a person feels is completely subjective. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like if it's a horror, survival horror, we don't go, well, this game is super scary. It's like, well, there are some scary elements, but survival horror denotes that there are going to be some creepy things in it and jump scares.
But it's like, I'm a sociopath, so what is a genre?
Well, if you're a sociopath, you don't give a shit about anything. You're like, you have no emotional reaction. Yeah.
Oh my god.
This is I don't know where he's going. He's going back to the audience going, well, everyone's different. You're like, yeah. So
a genre is still a genre. It doesn't mean.
But if you're a player and you're playing, like, this is a game is a very intimate experience where you are very aware of your modus of control, which means you're aware of what you can and your limitations of what you can do and how fast you can accelerate and jump and swing your sword, the arc. Like, you're very aware of that. And he's saying, well, everyone has different feelings. You're like, yes, but they're not defining Final Fantasy VII based on how emotional they got when Aerith died. They're basing it off their experience as a whole. And then telling their friends it's a good game or a bad game or it's an okay game or whatever. That's what they're doing. They're not going, well, when Aerith died, I just stopped playing because it was so sad. It's a horrible experience. No one should play that. And it's a horror game. And that was a jump scare. It's like, what? No one's saying that. Because they interpreted that scene subjectively. It's like, no.
It's a melodrama because I cried.
Yes, I don't know.
Games can be methodical. They can be disciplined, turbulent, expressive.
Games can be disciplined. What the
What are you on?
What is he talking about?
Wait, but hold on. He said games are dismissive. What does that mean?
No. Let me just rewind that. That was the weirdest take.
And impossible to categorize and assess everything a person can do or feel. Games can be methodical. They can be disciplined, turbulent, expressive, filled with solidarity. They can be thoughtful, cautious, dazzling, terrifying, energetic, vigorous, calming, contemplative, and compelling. A game can be an absolute thrill ride, but it is important to understand what, how, and why it's thrilling.
I didn't hear dismissive.
okay, so all he did was list a bunch of things a game could be to the audience. It's like, yeah. And then he says you have to understand those 3 elements, how, why, and what, or whatever. You're like, yeah.
And?
Okay, let's keep going.
Well, I'm like, okay, there's a general consensus that that's what you're saying, right? I mean, the video maker.
Well,
right?
no, so far it's so subjective that anyone can say what they want. And you're like, that's not the point.
I know, sure, but like, I don't know, this is weird.
Well,
like, it's still gonna you're all still gonna have the same feeling on some level.
sure, but I don't know where he's going with this whole subjective argument.
Well, I mean, in a linear game, I should say, if it's something non-linear, you can do whatever you want, almost, then fine.
I just don't know what he's trying to take this subjective viewpoint to say that this is different things to different people. It's like, yeah, but what's the argument then? Everything's up in the air. We can't possibly use genre.
We can't define anything apparently.
Well,
and I'm like,
we don't know yet. We don't know.
Right?
I want to know where he's going because I'm just like,
that's what he's saying. He's saying we can't define it. It's hard to narrow it down. I'm like, but you're just explaining it somewhat, even though it's poorly attempted. You're explaining it somewhat.
Let's just hear him out.
Mechanical pacing, aspects of animation, enemy and encounter design. Look at the nuances of every little piece. A small tweak like Bayonetta being able to cancel an attack by dodging completely changes how a player approaches a situation in battle, making action sequences seem like a huge spectacle.
Okay, so he's talking about the tactics and the detail of Bayonetta games. Fine, cool. Yeah, you're right. That's fine. He's making an observation.
And they feel so intense for the player. But here is the harsh truth that comes with these specific complications. There is no concrete answer for game genres.
What? Why not? When you play Microsoft Flight Simulator, you are flying a plane. That is the genre. It's called Flight Sim. When you are playing a Street Fighter game, that is a Street Fighting game, or the Street Fighter genre, or a brawling genre, whatever you want to call it.
It's a fighting genre.
Fighting genre, yeah. People
Like
know what you're
fighting
talking about. Yeah. You could call it other things, but they know exactly. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, is it a 2D fighter or is it 3D fighter?
Yeah. You
But
can go into the visual element, but everyone's saying or trying. They're all pointing to the same thing because they know what it is. They just have different words for the same thing. The reference is the same, but the words might be, 2D, 3D, 2.5D, etc. I really
it's
don't.
Linear, it's non-linear, it's RPG,
Oh, there's all kinds, yeah, subgenres and new genres, yeah, for sure.
At least not yet. And even then, it isn't 100%. But at least we can try. So hear me out. 007 GoldenEye is an action film, but it is not an action game.
Really?
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Wait, what does he mean by that, though?
I don't know.
I haven't played GoldenEye, unfortunately.
It's a first-person shooter. So even though these two share very similar themes, they're separated because of the game's mechanics.
No, it's not! It's not! Who says that?
Why are we comparing a film that's classified as a film in the action whatever genre of film and a first-person shooter that you can call an action because first-person shooters are action games?
It's an action adventure. It's just shot. It's in the first-person perspective.
And then arguing, well, these are different media. It's different. It's like, yeah.
You could do the same thing with the film if you really wanted to. If you're really that vain about it, just go, well, you're in the protagonist perspective. Why aren't you in like a different perspective? Oh, it's shot in a real niche way instead of like up close and personal. I don't know.
Well, I don't understand.
What is that movie where it was actually shot in first person? I forget that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's like
there were two of those.
is
Yeah, I
this
can't
more-
remember.
is this more comparable?
Yeah, but the idea that he's confused that movies have the same name with the same franchise are different experiences because one's a game and one's a movie. I don't get it.
Yeah, like
so
Spider-Man.
what about
it's like
other first-person
third person.
shooters? Overwatch, Medal of Honor, Doom, they all play very differently, but why? What about Portal or Superhot? Both games involve shooting and are in first person. Heck, there's even exploration of similar themes. But we also know that Portal and Superhot are first-person puzzle games.
Well, let me ask you this: do you
Super
kill
hot is
anybody in
VR.
Portal?
What?
Do you kill anybody in Portal?
The turrets, if you throw them off the ledge.
But do you kill people?
No.
Like, what is the goal of Portal? You're supposed to
Yeah,
solve puzzles, right?
it's a first-person
I haven't-
platformer puzzle game. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's Superhot doesn't even compare to any of them because it's VR.
Right. It's like what's that fancy term for games where you don't move? There's a certain name. Roguelike. It's a roguelike 3D third person shooter or first person shooter
In VR.
in VR. Yeah. Well, there's a VR mode and there's a non VR mode, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But this is not complicated. Like what is wrong with categorizing a game and then using other categorizations? That's what we have, and we talk about this in the Steam pages. They see all the tags associated with the game. It does this, it does this, it does this. It's this genre.
But-
it's this setting.
Can't you make those if you really want to? Can't you make those arguments with movies, books? Like, I don't know what
Sure.
he's getting at.
Yeah, this isn't exclusive.
It's shot the same way, but why is it different? All books are written by the same paper, but why is it different?
Yeah, why is cyberpunk, which is cyberpunk genre, which is basically a noir, why is that different from an actual noir movie like The Maltese Falcon? Well, different stories, different characters, different setting. Keep going.
It's ridiculous. Come on.
I thought you were gonna say what if Cyberpunk, which is first of all a mess. Hey,
Why isn't it pile of trash? Oh, it is pile of trash. Yeah.
Well, what makes it different from an actual pile of trash? You can interact with it.
That's kind of like the argument he would take. Why do people describe trash as trash and cyberpunk as trash? But they're not the same thing. It's like, dude. Because they have different names and denote different things by their very nature? I don't know.
here's a good take.
I want you to make that video smarter.
Why are things different? Yeah. So here's the Dark Seraph. Oh, hey, man, you know what? We were about to bring you on, and the back of my mind is like, you know what? I don't think we need help. I think we're good.
Oh.
All right. Thank you, sir. They're different games. Just because two games are first person doesn't mean they need to play the same. No kidding.
Yes, common sense.
You're telling me Doom and Doom Eternal are totally different? Wow.
Well, no, those aren't.
They're all the same.
Well, those are because same series.
Why is Pokemon different? Every game. It doesn't make sense.
Oh, that is one of the most unique RPGs ever made. Just on
This guy is in his own little semantical world where it's like, dude, play the game.
I don't know what made him propose this question. That's the fascinating thing.
Yeah,
about
why is The Witcher 3 not or different than Red Dead Redemption 2? I don't know.
It's not. They have horses. It's the same thing.
They're both
Game
open
genres are
world.
dumb.
Why are they? I don't know.
You play as a guy. I mean, come on.
They're both males. It should be exactly the same experience. You both ride horses. Come on. Anyway.
But what about Amnesia? It's a first-person puzzle game, but it's also a horror. Why not throw some roguelike elements in there for the AI? How about giving the player an RPG leveling system? I'm sure you see what I'm getting at here.
No.
Video games have
we
so much depth, but the way we categorize genres is ostensibly simplistic.
Oh.
There's more to a game.
No, it's not. Just because you're able to define what a game is does not mean it's simplistic all the
Is
time.
he
Doesn't make any sense.
specifically referring to the sticker of the ESRB where they say like action adventure platformer or horror survival? Is that it? Is that what he's doing?
If that's the argument, this is scary now.
Because when we buy games and we, as I said, we go to Steam, we see the tags and they have like, 5, maybe 6, sometimes 10 tags, depending on whoever wrote the review or wrote the description so that people know to search for certain tags.
Yes.
And it's all every one of those tags is true as a category for some of the elements in the game. That doesn't mean every single moment of that game has like survival, horror, gunplay, crafting, and that's what you're doing every single second. No. Of course not. This is the
It's scary to think like a game that's rated for adults only. Like he's asking, "Ooh, why can't kids play it though?"
Yeah.
What defines it as an adult game?
What?
It's like, oh shit.
Did you really just say that?
Who, me? Yes.
Okay, let's try to keep going before we hurt ourselves. This is so dumb.
It's a joke.
In just their mechanics. We need to look at their structure.
What does that
What I
mean?
mean by structure is the architecture that gives the mechanics context. So let's compare the shielding in Wind Waker and Dark Souls. Both games, you can put up your shield and you don't take damage.
The shielding? Just say the shield. What is
Guarding.
He pluralizes words. Like he takes a noun like theme and goes theming. We're like, what does that mean?
My dude, there's already a word for this. It's called guarding. Why are you saying shielding?
Have you ever used the term shielding before? I've never used that when talking about raising your shield in defensive maneuvers.
Guarding.
I'm shielding now. He won't hit me with his attack.
We live in a generation where we say, "But we're mean." So it's not uncommon for people to get these words wrong.
My brand.
I don't know.
Simple,
I'm just trying to
but
explain.
There are some differences that change the entire experience.
Wow.
Dark Souls has a stamina system, so if you get hit, the player has something to lose. Multiple enemies will attack you at once way more often in Dark Souls rather than Zelda. So things like shield stun will have way more risks attached to it.
I'm pretty sure multiple enemies attack you at once in any given Zelda game. You liar.
Including things pushed back and falling to your death instead of like grabbing the ledge like a smarty. So both games
That doesn't
have
always
shielding,
happen.
but there are other factors outside of the shield that create two very different experiences.
No shit.
So how does this apply to genre? Well, let's rewind a little.
So what about other first-person shooters? Overwatch, Medal of Honor?
He's a robot
They all
now.
play very differently, but why?
Yeah, why?
I don't know. Why haven't you told us yet?
I'm getting tired. This we're done. This is so dumb.
No. We gotta finish it. We're at the end. We gotta finish it.
Why do
No.
2 plates of pasta from 2 different chefs taste different? I don't know. Why do I buy a Porsche
my
instead of a Miata? I don't know.
I just. Yeah, I went back to that same restaurant to have the same exact meal, but it tasted very differently this time. I wonder why.
Ow. Ow.
Why aren't humans
What
like
is-
robots? Why aren't we all the same?
What even is burnt?
Why aren't men all like all their men? Why aren't women behaving exactly like every other woman? I've only met one, so I don't know. Like, dude.
Why are all toilets the same? I mean,
This is a joke video. I can't take this guy.
I mean, it has to be, but I don't know. We gotta find out.
This is not worth our time. This is so dumb.
No. We've already went this far. I'm pausing God of War 2 for this. Let's do this.
We have 3 minutes left. He has said nothing of relevance. He's making shit up. This is so dumb.
Maybe. Let's just find out.
Does he think everything comes out of a factory exactly the same? Like people and...
Yes.
Make game software that everyone uses. Why isn't all FPSs the same? Like, oh my god. Anyway.
Why are all episodes in a TV show the same?
The endless ain't anyone.
Okay, hopefully there's a very long outros. I'm tired of this.
NordVPN.
Much arguing that these games are shooters, right? Well, let's look at the structure of their mechanics. So let's say that Overwatch is a team-based objective shooter because it's built more on team synergy and how other characters interact with one another.
Yes.
I would say that Medal of Honor would be a wartime shooter, which emphasizes tactile cover for survivability.
Tactile cover. What the hell is tactile cover?
Did he say tactile? I didn't know.
You take cover tactically.
Did he say
how other characters interact with one another. I would say that Medal of Honor would be a wartime shooter, which emphasizes tactile cover for survivability, complemented with...
Okay, he said tactile. The whatever the closed caption said tactile.
Tactical.
Whatever tactile means. And then we have on top the screen tactical shooter. Like, I don't know what he's talking about anymore.
You have to tactically switch to your secondary weapon. It's faster than reloading.
I'm just gonna assume he meant tactical and move on.
This is so stupid.
No, really, what I fucking tell you before
I know words. I can speak good. I can talk well. Okay.
I fucking told you so.
accurate iron sights. It isn't really a game.
Yeah, because a guy shooting with a scope is iron sights. Thanks, that's great.
Where you would be unlike Doom, which I would call an arena shooter. It has very open level design, fast-paced movement, and a torrent of enemy encounters. And every match feels like that I'm in a coliseum of some kind.
Coliseum?
Is he British?
That explains everything.
He was making an actual good point there, and then he just fumbled on there. The Coliseum.
Who the hell has ever said Coliseum before? You know, the ancient Romans, they fought in Coliseums? Like, what? Don't you mean Coliseums?
So all of these games are shooters, but they're slightly different because of their structure. But even then, it still isn't a 100% end-all answer. Remember, genre and subgenres are fluid, but so are a game's mechanics. A game...
What does he even mean by that?
I don't even bother. You know what happens? There's a drag and drop menu for every game designer. These, I want to have shoot option with bullet, and he drags it into the screen. And then, I want a reload option with bullet, and it drags that into the screen. It's just everything's just like you pick it up and plop it down in game design. It's all the same.
Game mechanics are fluid.
Yeah, Unreal just have all these drag and drop features in Unreal. Just drag them onto the screen, make game, and you're done.
It's steam fluid, okay?
Coliseum.
Tactile Coliseum. I can feel the Coliseum with my fingers.
It's all fluid.
Game genres or DOM.
Okay.
These mechanics are the backbone and core part that we interact with. So yeah, it naturally makes sense to categorize these games that are mechanically similar. But mechanics are a tool of the medium, and there are so many ways that mechanics and systems can be used to tell different stories, construct different sequences.
Okay.
So okay, so the argument is gameplay tells its own narrative. It's like, yes, that's true, but then you're talking about the narrative between the audience and the mechanics and the character you're controlling, or between the character that you're controlling and the player. Like there's certain levels of that argument, which I've heard, but I highly, highly doubt this guy's intelligent enough to figure out what the freaking hell he's talking about. Let alone the actual narrative in the game, which he's probably talking about.
I don't know. They're dumb. Okay, because they work.
Yeah,
Oh, that's why it's.
I know. Whatever. Let's just keep going.
If you look at it tactile.
The tactical coliseums. Yeah.
See him.
Draw the
My
player
video
in and
policy.
envelop them in an experience. We need to not just identify a game's mechanics, but also their structure and how it builds the distinct experience, as opposed to pointing at just the game's mechanics. As games are
Yeah, what's wrong with people wanting to do that though? What's wrong?
I don't know exactly how talking about the structure of the mechanics is any different than talking about the mechanics. Because you're going to talk about mechanics, you're going to go into detail what it means to use the gravity gun in Half-Life 2 and how it came to be and what does it mean to puzzle solving. That's it. Like that is the structure of the mechanic. You are talking about how it works in detail.
You can move anything anywhere.
Yeah, but you wouldn't say, well, Half-Life 2 is a gravity gun puzzle game. It's like, no, that's part of it, but that's not the whole game. It's still a first-person shooter, action-adventure, platformer / puzzle, narrative-driven, blah, blah, blah.
Sure, there's many variations, but I'm just saying if there's a game that focuses on one variation of like what they want to do,
right? Yeah.
What is wrong with people just pointing towards that one thing?
The main mode of the modus of control, which is first-person navigation and exploration, and then how you interact with 3D. Like you have a cursor at the center, which is also your reticule for your gun, and you could press the E button to interact, or the space bar, or the F button to pick stuff. Like there's all kinds of basic interactions that certain games do differently. So we don't say, well, this game doesn't have a jump button unless the prequel did, right? Like God of War.
It's a non-jumping game.
Yeah, like we don't say God of War 2017 or 2018?
2018
is a non-jumping God of War game. We don't say that. We just say, well, there's no jumping.
It's just a reboot.
Yeah, it's a
It's a non-double jump game.
Yeah, whatever.
Not a jumping man anymore.
There's no structure to Kratos' legs. He just doesn't jump anymore. It's like, oh.
You're not his legs.
There's no structure to the gravity.
He doesn't do. Yeah, he doesn't do any squats. He stopped doing lower body exercises. He doesn't jump anymore. The narrative of Kratos is no longer about his lower body. It's all about his pecs, his biceps.
Spaghetti legs.
Yeah, spaghetti Kratos. Yeah.
It's like Nipple the enchilada, where it's like the big top half, like the stubby legs.
Yeah.
Dude.
Okay, 1 minute left.
Evolving mechanics are getting twisted and expanded upon. It wasn't too long ago that titles like Gone Home or Proteus were questioned about their validity of even being called a game. Games are defying genre before genre is even defined. So with
I don't care. Let's just keep going.
more experimental projects coming out that make us question the definition of a game, we still have a lot of growing pains to go when it comes to structuring a reliable genre format for the medium. There are so many mechanics that can be reshaped, and some that aren't even created yet. What we need isn't a unified agreement on how genres should work. What we need is discussion. Concepts within game design
Are you kidding me? How the hell is a Steam page going to sell a game if you say, well, we need get rid of the tags. We need arguments of what this game actually is. Now, there are some games out there which are hard to define, and that's why they're so fun to some people. Like, what am I doing in this game? What's the point of this game? How do I control? There's no tutorial level, and you have to figure it out. There was this really cool game, side scroller, on Steam. I can't remember what it was called, but you're like this cat-like creature, and there's all these weird alien-like other creatures around you. And you have like a spear, and you throw the spear, and you have to go collect it to hunt for food.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's a really weird game, and people love it because it's so interpretive of what's going on. And there is a story, but it's like, again, it's very non-dialogue shown with visuals. There's seasons or there's weather or what have you. And I can't remember the name of it, but I was reading about it a few weeks ago, and people love it because it's so different and it's hard to define, and that's fine. But you could still say it's a side-scrolling survival game, and you go, okay, but what else is it?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with approximating it if there's nothing like specific to it. That's the whole point of why Metroidvania is a thing.
Yeah, when you look at Super Metroid, you don't go, well, any game that mirrors Super Metroid, you don't say, what's a Super Metroid game? It's like, no, it's like Super Metroid, but it's nowhere near the feeling and vibe of Super Metroid because that was a whole experience. But you could say this weapon from this game in a side scroller is like the ice beam in Super Metroid or whatever. You could do that.
I mean, someone in chat like early on actually like gave like a 1-sentence definition. Here it is. Threadnought says that basically Metroidvanias are basically semi-open world games that open up even more as you progress, unlocking new abilities and unlock new locations. Pretty much. You can sum it up as that. That's a Metroidvania. There's nothing really complicated about it.
Yeah. All right.
Also, Eric, what happened? You died for a moment there.
My work was calling me. They wanted me to come in.
Oh, okay. Do you gotta go? Do you have to go?
But I'm good. No, I'm good.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
We got like 1 minute left.
I would have thought that the video was just so bad that Discord killed you all.
Yeah, if you gotta go do something more important in your life, go. Just do it.
Just anything.
Are you kidding me? This is the most important. I want to know I want to know if he answers the question.
I think it's going to be this big philosophical, too big for my brain sort of response where we don't know. We're never going to know because art is constantly changing.
The answer is out there somewhere, but it's not going to be found today.
This video ends with the equivalent of "I'm dumber than game genres." Just that fucking.
That's I'll take. Yeah.
All right.
I'm dumb. Kind of
gaming cultural landscape to bring awareness and insight in order for video games to grow. There isn't an end-all, be-all.
If you seriously think a bunch of people in the comments section or review board of a game is going to make games better, you're dead wrong. Games are made better when people make different, better games.
He really is dumb. I was joking.
You don't have a bunch of people on a message board making good games. You could maybe have a developer from that and say, I'm so frustrated, I'm going to go make a game that I want to make or I want to play. That could happen, sure.
Well, I don't know. Have you played Fallout Miami?
No.
Miami?
Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
I've never seen it.
What?
I just hear about it. I don't know what it is exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's a game. It's a modded game. I don't know.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, yeah.
By the way, I want to say that this custom Robo game, very good game. Bringing back my childhood.
Oh.
GameCube.
Play it if you haven't.
GameCube exclusive. Yes.
Yeah.
To this problem because we aren't finished writing the question. Play more games. Think about what they do and why.
Did you seriously just say finish the question?
What?
Rewind a little bit. Listen to what he said.
We
end all be all answer to this problem because we aren't finished writing the question. Play more games. Think about what they do and why. Think about the context and how much further
So what's the question?
Yeah. We haven't finished the question.
What was the question he's at? I thought he came to a definition. That's what the title is. Game genres are dumb. It's like, so what's the question?
We haven't. Yeah, he said we haven't finished writing the question. What the fuck does that even mean?
The universe is big and infinite. I don't know what it means, so we gotta ask the right question, but we don't know what the question is. You're like, so keep
So we
experience
gotta
life.
finish writing that question.
Like, what?
It's like, wow, you are such a super intellect. You're levitating above humanity right now. Like, you think the deepest thoughts. That's amazing.
I was about to do the joke from Red Letter Media where Mike is I don't know if you guys watched the review of season 2 of Picard, where he has this big rant where he's like, life is about experiencing the things in life you've never felt. And when you experience the things you have never felt, you learn about the universe in a special way you never knew. And he just kept going on and on about, indulging.
You sound just like Mike now. It's amazing.
And then someone asks Picard what the secret of the meaning of life is, and he just says 4 lights.
Yeah. Like that is pretty much what this video is. Some guy rambling on about words he doesn't know how to use and not coming to a conclusion, not even explaining the question, let alone having a question, and just saying, I don't like how we talk about games. We should talk about them because we should play more games. It's like, sure.
We should finish the question. What question?
Finish the fight, Chief.
It matters.
You need to think about what you think.
The title of the video is "Game Genres Are Dumb." Now, what? You ever go into it?
We don't know why they're dumb. We don't know what makes it dumb. We don't even know what dumb is anymore.
Because we have to finish the question. I don't know, Jack, so you gotta finish the question.
Game genres are dumb. But
Sir,
why?
Sir,
How?
this is not a library. This is an N64, please. Don't.
There's Wendy's.
This is not philosophy time. Okay.
Even though we put a period at the end of our story, someone should finish writing the story,
Yeah,
even though it's completed.
even though
Someone
they're,
else should finish it.
even though they're dead, they're never really gone.
Some other guy should come along and finish it, like with Mass Effect. That was good, right?
Their T-bone steak is fully cooked, but is it cooked enough? What even is cooked?
It's just still raw. It's sitting there.
You
in
can
the
just
fridge.
ramble about anything.
What is medium rare? Is medium rare actually a way to eat? It's like, yes, I like it medium. How about burnt? Is burnt? No, burnt. You can't eat it. There's a certain threshold to how much thermal energy you apply to meat. Okay.
But what even is high cooked? Right? What's low cooked?
Am I using
What makes it a medium cooked?
Celsius or Fahrenheit? What does it mean to use one or the other? And what if I use Fahrenheit at 300 degrees, but Celsius at only at 99? Is that any different?
This is a miserable pile of secrets.
Okay. 30
30
seconds before we hurt ourselves. I think my throat is already in pain. Anyway.
Effects can be pushed. If something's in a game, ask why and for what purpose. Think about the techniques of the medium. Be sure to come back when we explore how to create a mechanical spectacle next time inside the game.
Oh, shut up.
Oh boy!
You're not going to teach anyone how to make a game, buddy.
Boy.
Why should we think about it if we just want to play the game?
How to make a entertaining design or something.
Holy hell.
Great.
I fucking told you so before we started. This was not gonna fit.
I had no idea. I thought it was going to be a smart, artsy look at
Told you that
something.
it wasn't gonna be, but it's like
He's going to have a really
my
technical
God.
definition of what genre is. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Maybe he's looking at it from a cinematic lens or whatever lens he was using. I don't care. He just went all over the place. I'm like, dude, what is theming? What are you talking about?
He just says you need to think about the game that you're playing. So whenever you're playing Super Smash Bros, you got to think about what the game's trying to make you do. I mean, it's asking you questions that you're not answering to, that you don't even think about.
Yeah. What does Bowser
I mean,
really want?
Yeah, does the game really want you to fight people? What if it wants you to, I don't know, sit on your ass and eat Cheetos all day? I just don't get it. This fucking guy, man.
Oh.
That's a great one. I love that. We have technology. It's cherry tree. Oh.
Legacy. Oh, that's great. Or sorry, I got their name wrong. Hideout.
Memes before I die.
He's smashing the computer.
Is this technology?
Don't do that.
It's a force field, Chief. Use it.
Biotics. Shut up.
Someone's truth is someone else's treasure. I don't know. Trash. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, brother, this guy's. Yeah, he's bad. We are made of stupid.
Where are you?
I am pretty wisdomous.
Man, he's on a blast. That's great.
I need a drink. Smart.
Wisdomous.
Holy hell, that was bad. I'm in gobbledygook first year in pick a major he's in. I have no idea what the hell he's learning at school.
Is he learning though?
He's learning something. I just know what. I heard word. It must be a verb now. I will turn nouns into verbs. It's tactile. It's
Tactile.
tactical game is tactile walls. Like what? Tactile walls.
That Coliseum.
Coliseum.
Yeah, see.
Holy
Among
Jesus.
the-
Anyway,
Game genres are fluid. I thought you said they were dumb. Yes.
like game mechanics, genres are fluid. Okay.
Like
among shooting.
like gender.
Oh God. Anyway, let's just say tomorrow we're doing a Liana K video, and we're still gonna hurt ourselves, I'm sure. So just different.
Oh, so we're getting a sequel to more rambling. That's great.
Yeah, Liana is gonna ramble for sure. So the special kind of feminine ramble, which never ends. But luckily, it's only 30 minutes long. I don't know. I didn't check the video up. It's around that area, I bet. So.
Hopefully, she talks about Dennis Leary again.
Superman. Yeah, that was a horrible video. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in.
I'm happy to be on the Smudcast again, and I can't believe I paused God of War 2 for a video like this.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for coming in. I know we were going to get other people to pop in, but I wanted to make sure this was something we could take on ourselves. And I think if we had other people, would have gone on for another hour just going nuts. That was horrible. I'm surprised this guy has more upvotes than downvotes, but holy hell. Anyway, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you real soon tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you.
I got to go relax.
Appreciate it.
That was nuts. That was insane.
Yeah.
Have yourself a great evening. Bye-bye.
Tactically or tactically?